Hello, I'm Glenn and welcome to my next project. So I wanted to try my little dryer vent trick with a more complicated vent tube. And I'm on the second story of a house here. This tube goes in at a 45-degree angle from the wall, and there's a little elbow there. And then at some point it goes up and that way, and probably up some more and then out that way. So it has 1, 2, 3, I don't see how it could have any less than 4 bends. It goes through this wall and then into an attic that is unreachable. It's an attic above a garage and there's no access to it without cutting a hole in the wall. And then it exits from the roof. So I'm gonna go show you that right now so you can see what we're dealing with and why it's harder. All right, right about there is where the dryer is. So the dryer vent comes in through this wall, this way, into this attic space in here, and somehow comes up through this little vent. Now, somebody's using a blower right next to me, so it's really loud, so we're fighting for audio. But there's this tiny little opening that is not even 2 fingers big. So let me see if I can get it in there and show you. So, and here's the hard part, that the rag cannot be very big at all or else it won't make this corner. And in order to take this off, I have to pry up the nails and lose the weatherproofing, which I might end up having to do. We'll see. Got to be able to get that rag out of inside that. Items you will need for this project: strong string like that nylon string I was using last time in part 1, a terry cloth hand towel, still, plastic t-shirt bag, something that can be used as a parachute. Those bags work really well. You're most likely going to want at least one more person to help you, somebody up on the roof or on the outside to pull that bag through, and a way of communicating with them like walkie-talkies or a cell phone. I still recommend a glove for that hand that's going into the dryer vent. And of course, a vacuum cleaner to clean up your mess. And in this case, a wet dry vac that's reversible, so you can put the hose on the back and it blows air. And a damp towel is also nice for that cleanup. So what I've done here was I ran the parachute in, just a regular t-shirt bag. And it's not making it very far. So it only made it just past this first elbow. Now, this vent has not been cleaned in a long time, like 14, 15 years or something like that, at least, that I can guess at. So maybe it's being fouled up with lint. And maybe there's something else. Maybe there's another bend in the way. I'm not quite sure. But I have an idea for making this work, and like I said, I learn something every time. So this is another one. It's great to try a different one that's different than my own home, because that one was pretty easy with just that one 90-degree bend. All right, so I called in for reinforcements. I have this wet dry vac, and what I'm going to first do is stick the hose inside the vent tube and vacuum out as much as I can. Then what I'll do is I will put the hose on the exit, so I will blow a bunch of air through the vent tube, and hopefully that'll free up enough lint. And also it'll be more air to shove the bag through, to shove that parachute through, because honestly the dryer doesn't have a whole lot of airflow. It's a nice breeze and it's enough to move that bag if it's not too gummed up with lint, but this will push it through a little bit harder. I can hear stuff coming in there, so I am sucking some stuff out. So it definitely got some out. Now I'm going to reverse the hose and blow it, and we'll see how much stuff comes out the other end. Well, over some time, we finally got the bag out, and I feel a little bit silly that the bag was probably at the flapper valve a lot sooner, but we didn't pick it up to look to see if it was there, and it didn't have quite enough force to push its way through. So maybe it wasn't there, but maybe it was. Either way, success. Now with that string, we can pull the rag through and at least bring it to the end of this tube here. So I got to thinking, there's a chance with all the bends that the rag might get hung up on one of the bends or maybe not be able to get out the flapper valve, the small opening on the roof. So I tied another string on it. So this string will pull it out to the roof. If we need to bring it back the same direction, we'll do it like this. And in fact, that is a pretty good idea the more I think about it, because we don't even have to bring it through, because all we want to do is loosen up the lint. So after I pull it back out this way, I'll have a bunch of lint, I'll vacuum it, then I'll blow air through with the wet dry vac in reverse. So I'll blow more air through that way and blow lint out on the roof. All right, so we got it. We weren't able to get this rag out of the other end because that flapper valve is a lot smaller, but what we did was, because I had the string on both sides, I was able to push it all the way through to the other side so the person on the other side could grab it and touch it, and then I would bring it back and then blow air through. And between the lint coming back this way and gathering around here and blowing in my face, and then the air pushing it that way again after the rag was out, it worked just fine. So now all I have to do is bring the string back through and put everything back together. And ta-da! Another clean dryer vent. What I learned today. Well, the first thing I want to brag about learning today was that tying two strings on the rag was just a brilliant idea. I'm surprised I didn't think of it sooner, but then again, I didn't really need to, because my dryer vent path is a much simpler path. And the one I was working on here was a little more complicated, with the risk of the rag getting fouled up and clogged in there or something, and having a second string on there to be able to pull it back the other direction is just a brilliant idea. If I don't say so myself, I'm very proud that I had that idea. And you know, that's one of those things that, you know, once you see it, you kind of just hand on forehead and go, man, why didn't I think of that before? Perfect. Okay, the next thing I learned was that being able to blow a great deal of air through the vent using the back end of the wet dry vac is also very helpful, as well as using the suction end of the vac, so I could suck out all that lint that was in there just as the hose goes through the tube, and get as much as you can that way. And that's just going to lessen the mess down at the other end. I also learned that you absolutely really should have a second person when you're doing one that's far away or up on the roof or hard to get to, just so you don't have to run around so much. If I was doing all this myself, it would have taken virtually all day. I would have got a lot of good exercise, but you don't really need to do that. Just get another person. One person can be in the house and the other on the roof. It doesn't matter. You choose. And it would certainly be helpful if you had a way of communicating those. So a couple of cell phones or walkie-talkies, or a third person who can stand in between and holler back and forth. However you want to do it. It always takes more time than I think. Next time I do this same one, it won't take as long, but I had to learn it and figure out the little eccentricities of the dryer vent path as it went through the wall and then came out the roof. And if I were to do it again, I think I might have just saved a lot of time and effort and removed that shroud on the outside. It only had those two nails with a little bit of tar goop sealant on top of it. So that really could have gone back in place quite easily without ruining or weakening the integrity of the watertight seal on the roof. So there you go. What I learned today, what you learned today. Now, if you have any comments on how your path is different than what I've shown you so far, please let me know. I'm dying to learn other systems out there. Thank you, and come again.